Hello and welcome to the 2023 Blueprint for Free Speech Whistleblowing Prizes. My name's Georgina Godwin, and over the next half an hour I'll be introducing you to a group of people from all over the world who have demonstrated extraordinary bravery, integrity and commitment to the public interest. Blueprint for Free Speech started these awards in 2016. This year, prizes are being awarded to recognise critical examples of whistleblowing in the UK, in Europe, in North America, Africa and the Asia-Pacific region. Our prize winners' stories this year involve corruption, risks in artificial intelligence and automation, safety in healthcare, big pharma and the behaviour of drug companies, and finally, illicit finance. These stories are inspirational, but they're also difficult. Many of this year's winners have put their professional and personal lives on the line in order to do the right thing. And, as you'll hear, in some cases, the costs have been extremely high. The full list of this year's prize winners is available at the website address you'll see on your screen now. Join us as we celebrate the bravery, integrity and commitment to the public interest of our 2023 Blueprint for Free Speech Whistleblowing Award winners. Two stories that have barely left the headlines this year are the ongoing drama surrounding the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, and, now that we've seen exactly what ChatGPT can do, the way that advances in artificial intelligence are going to change the world we live in. The story of our Europe Prize winner, Lukasz Krupski, neatly brings the two together. On the 26th of May 2023, German business daily Handelsblatt started publishing a series of investigative reports about Tesla, the electric car company headed up by Musk. Those reports were based on a huge disclosure of internal data from within the company. Handelsblatt's reporting on the Tesla files has told us many important things. It told us how poorly Tesla manages its internal data. It's revealed a really troubling attitude towards the safety of people who worked at Tesla. And, perhaps most worrying of all, it shows that Tesla's much vaunted autopilot functionality has had some serious safety issues, which the company has tried to sweep under the carpet. Many of those issues are now the subject of regulatory investigations and court cases, both in the US and Europe. The source of the disclosure from inside Tesla was Lukasz Krupski. He joined Tesla as a service technician in Norway in 2018. Within a few months, he averted a major fire caused by battery charging problems, and this meant he was recognised by Elon Musk himself. Lukasz, congratulations. Now, you joined Tesla as a service technician back in Norway in 2018. Within a few months, you'd played a critical role that brought you to the attention of Elon Musk himself. Tell us about that.
You're joining when you're very optimistic and committed, loyal to the company. Try to report what's going on, just in the good faith for all of us. And it wasn't working. The minutes of the meeting were disappearing or they were tampered with. I started receiving warnings with lies. I was sent to the basement to work on my own. And I thought it was for my safety because one guy threatened me. He said that I should be stabbed in the back with the screwdriver. So that put me on the path of being like cautious, who I talk to, who I trust, which, if you think about it, it's really bad for the company because instead of focusing on work 100%, you have to watch your back.
Lukasz, one of the concerns you raised, amongst many, was that the cars were stopping and starting, and that had implications not just for the car drivers themselves, but also for other road users.
Let me put it this way. You are in the state that your comfort zone, you trust the car, the system, nothing unexpected going to happen, and then suddenly you are just hit with, let's say, massive acceleration because car has a lot of torque. So you are humans. It takes us a time to adjust to this unusual situation. Wake up, like adrenaline to kick in. And when you're shaken, let's say your car is going through the curb, maybe you can spatially change, mislocate in your car, so you are unable to find the pedal, the brake pedal. So there's like really limited time when you can take over and recover the situation. And then again, we react differently. Some people will just quickly react, flight or fight. Others will just freeze. So very, very concerning. And if you ask again in the ramifications, but for other road users, then again, we are all at risk, even if you're not driving that car, because there are footpaths next to the road, there's oncoming traffic, and just I have this scariest situation. Imagine that you're driving a car and the car just veers off, does something unexpected, and there on the footpath there are small children from nursery in their high visibility vests walking along, and in pairs, and the car just plows through them. I mean, that was what was telling me I have to do something about it. I couldn't believe with myself if that's something that would happen, and I had the opportunity to raise it to authorities. So just things like that were driving me to take things seriously and take them to authorities, and then I ended up going public as well.
You explained why the thought of what might happen drove you eventually to come out and blow the whistle. You went and spoke to a journalist eventually. You've also discussed how difficult it is. Tell us a little bit more about being somebody who just tried to do the right thing.
And then step by step you realize, okay, maybe it's not a local issue, because it looks like HR is also participating in falsifying minutes of the meeting or not providing them and not addressing my concerns. And then I received threats and various things. So you go higher and higher to the point that you're raising things to compliance. And if that doesn't work, then like, oh, it's like, what's next? Because if I go outside, then it's very easy to say that I'm a just disgruntled employee or someone who is disloyal, who betrayed the values and policies. So suddenly I have to document it, I have to prove it, and just having against you people who are immensely powerful and rich and they have lawyers, that's just unbelievable. And every day you have to fight yourself between doing what is right, making notes, and balancing it, like how to do it to keep yourself safe as well.
Lukasz, Elon Musk, of course, doesn't only own and run Tesla, he also now owns and runs Twitter. What do you think about a man like him, and you've seen what he's done within Tesla, having control of such a huge social media platform?
Well, as you see, there's more information coming to light, and he admits that he's digging his own grave. He's a grown-up man. He's surrounded by, he can be surrounded by the most experienced people in the world, professionals, and he can address his, I don't know, maybe he's handling a massive amount of stress or something is going on. But again, to just go into these dark holes, into conspiracy theories and spreading concerning theories, and which we see now they are raised as amplifying or at least not suppressing pro-Nazi stuff and anti-Semitism. We have this recently advertisers walked out. He can see that it's negatively affecting his image, his company's interest of shareholders. I don't know. It's just, and our media now is just flooded. Every day is like Elon Musk this, Elon Musk that. And again ask myself, where is the board of directors? This will implode and it will harm so many people who are, let's say, just invested in Tesla, shareholders. Scary situation.
Lukasz, thank you very much. The reputation of the pharmaceutical industry has taken a particular beating in recent years. Notoriously, America's opioid crisis stemmed from products made by and pushed by for-profit company Purdue Pharma, a major drugs manufacturer. The ramifications from that are still in the courts. The number of victories in the public interest against Big Pharma, as the industry is sometimes called, is small compared to the damage done by wrongdoing. The 2023 winner of Blueprint's North America Whistleblowing Prize breaks out of that mould. Winner Michael Bawduniak and his lawyer Thomas Green took on a Big Pharma company and won. In fact, they won spectacularly, forcing the company to pay nearly $1 billion in a settlement resulting from a civil case. Of that enormous payment to the US government and 15 individual US states, $226 million went to the whistleblower in return for bringing the case. So often we know that whistleblowers suffer retaliation and enormous hardship. They rarely win in the important battles they fight in the public interest. So this exceptional case gives us a window into how people can blow the whistle and still eventually land on their feet. Mike, you've received this enormous payout from the settlement, but that airbrushes over the difficulties you've experienced for years as a whistleblower. Can you tell us, please, what was the wrongdoing that you were disclosing about your former employer, and how could it cause harm?
Well, part of my position being in marketing at Biogen at the time was to conduct what we called advisory board meetings, consultant meetings. It was customer feedback sessions. And while most pharmaceutical companies would see, anywhere from 5 or 6 of these per year to be sufficient, I was asked to do in some months 20 or 30 in a given month. So we were doing hundreds. And with each of these meetings, which were done under the guise of gaining feedback from our customers, everyone that participated was paid thousands of dollars. So it was a scheme whereby we were enriching doctors, people who were making decisions on prescribing these extremely high-cost products, many of which were charged back to the federal healthcare programs. So it was fraud. And I had, over the years, been asked to do more and more. And, at one point, just had to draw a line in the sand and not do it anymore.
Your former employer paid $900 million in a settlement fee, presumably to not have to go to a full court case where maybe they would have had to have paid much more. This seems like a mind-bogglingly large amount of money. How much impact would it have had on the company?
So these cases in their history, not one has ever gone to trial. And I can speculate why that is. I think they're afraid of what they call treble damages, which is a situation within the U.S. court system that were they to lose the case, whatever the damages were would be multiplied by 3. So it would be a very significant amount of money. The fact that they paid $900 million, which again to you and me is an inconceivable sum of money, for them it appears to be just the price of doing business.
And did any executives face criminal charges?
So there were no criminal charges brought. Without exception, every one of them went on to bigger and more responsibilities within the pharmaceutical industry. One individual, for example, is now the head of an entire department at Biogen. One of other individuals left Biogen and is now the CEO of a pharmaceutical company. So it's somewhat counterintuitive. I have no ability to work in the industry anymore, but the people who committed all of the wrongdoing were richly rewarded with positions and better jobs promoted at other companies and within Biogen.
So, you took a huge gamble. As you say, if you'd lost, you couldn't have just gone to work at another company within the industry.
No, I would have had to rebuild my career from the ground up. During the time I was the case came out from under seal, I had interviewed with several other companies, and as soon as the background check was done, I never heard from them. So I was 100% unemployable. Had this not turned out, and I have to attribute it to my attorney. If it had not turned out, and I didn't realize it would turn out this positively, but if it hadn't, my life would be much different and would not be in a great place.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Wardah Latief was married for 19 years to Mohammed Khan, also known as Mo Dollars, one of South Africa's most notorious alleged money launderers. In a documentary series by Al Jazeera, Wardah provided valuable first-hand information of collecting large boxes of cash from illicit cigarette sales, and described how her ex-husband paid off bank officials to transfer the money to Dubai. She recounted how her husband had splashed out on sports cars and luxury goods and regularly took her on shopping trips to Dubai to buy gold and diamond jewellery and luxury goods in cash before deciding to turn whistleblower. Speaking out has meant that Wardah has had to leave her home and move to a safer location. Alexander James from Al Jazeera, who worked with Wardah on the story, had the opportunity to see her recently and ask her some questions about her experience.
This has changed your life, effectively.
Yes, for the good. For the good. I'm actually proud.
But what was that moment? You were living the gangster lifestyle, as you explained to us. What was the moment where you thought, I can't do this anymore?
When my son asked me, where do I get this money? Why do I pick the money up? And what does everybody have this type of money? And I didn't have an answer for him. I just didn't have an answer for him. And that was just a turning point in my life, because it's wrong. It's just very wrong what I'm doing.
And you personally, like this was essentially a family matter too. Like,
yes.
How has this affected your family? How is it?
Well, it didn't affect my did not affect my family a lot, because they didn't know what I was doing, the type of money I was busy with, and only after the Al Jazeera interview, everything came out, and the type of money I was busy with and what I was doing, because it was like always like just for us in the house to know. It wasn't for the kids to talk about, and for me to talk, and for him to talk about it. It was like always like just a closed affair. It was more like that, and it didn't affect them a lot. But for them, but they're actually very proud of me to come out and to have this guts to do things like this and to take on all this. I did not take on all the big guys. I was talking about my ex-husband Mohammed Khan, and everybody else fell into our basket.
Do you feel safe at the moment? Have you faced threats?
I know no threats, because no one knows where I stay, no one knows my whereabouts, and I'm like in a cluster at the moment, so no one knows where I am. I have only like a handful of friends that knows where I am, where I stay. I'm actually moving around at the moment, just not to stay permanent at a place. So I think that's the best way now, until everything settles down. But no threats, because no one really have my phone number.
Do you miss that though? You've had to, you were a very, very social person. you're now living a lifestyle which is much more
I
careful, much more quiet. You're
yes,
being careful about where who
I
knows what.
I think with the corona, I learned to keep by myself and not to have a lot of people around me, and that actually helped me in this situation, because I am not a person that can stay without people. I am all over, and but I'm trying now. It's now lifestyle now. It's change of lifestyle. Um, I'm good with it. I'm more settled now. I'm more relaxed now. I'm happy.
In South Africa, blowing the whistle is tantamount to signing your own death warrant. These chilling words come from one of this year's Africa Whistleblower of the Year award winners, Johanna Phenya. Johannah and her husband Marumo ran a company that provided IT security services to government departments. When they were awarded a lucrative state tender, they were forced to partner with a company that was linked to a senior official who sat on the committee that approved the contract, something they did not know at the time. Johannah and Marumo soon discovered that their partner had no IT skills and the documents it submitted were fraudulent. The partnership was clearly a sham arrangement to loot public funds. They reported their concerns to the department's Director General, providing him with a dossier of evidence. This led to an internal investigation and disciplinary proceedings against the implicated official. Soon after Johannah began to testify against the official, Johannah's husband Marumo was gunned down in broad daylight after dropping their children off at school. Assassins fired on his car from both sides, expecting her to be in the passenger seat, as usual. But that day, she had other errands to run, which saved her life. Johannah was devastated to lose her husband and terrified the killers wanted to finish the job. Strange cars visited her home in the middle of the night and followed her children to school. But she was also determined that Marumo's death should not be in vain, and continued to testify at the hearings. Criminal proceedings are underway. But Johannah is deeply disappointed that despite strong evidence linking several men to Marumo's murder, a year later, the police have made no headway in arresting the perpetrators. Like many other whistleblowers in South Africa, she feels the government's assurances of protection and support amounts to little more than lip service for the cameras. In South Africa, if you blow the whistle, you are on your own. Johannah, congratulations. Now, you and your family are paid a very heavy price for blowing the whistle on corruption. Tell me what made you do it.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah, it was a heavy price to pay, but we did it for our kids, we did it for South Africa.
Tell us about the impact on you and your family for taking that brave step.
It was a heavy year, a very tough, painful year for me and my kids to live under those circumstances whereby we had to hide. We had to, the kids had to be at home at some point. They couldn't go to the shops. I couldn't go to the shops. They couldn't play with other kids. It's been a challenging year for all of us.
What has it meant for you emotionally?
It's been painful, to be quite honest. It's been painful. I've been with my husband for 21 years, and for us, it's been like, it's been a roller coaster, because at some point you think you are getting justice and you're back to zero, with no justice, with no answers.
Johannah, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the justice system and corruption?
You know, I think in South Africa it's a norm now with corruption. It's the way of life. You do something, you get killed. After a few days, it's back to normal. And our justice system it keeps on failing all of us. It's been 13 months without answers, without any arrest, without even talking to the investigating officers.
You say that blowing the whistle in South Africa is tantamount to signing your own death warrant. I wonder if you could just explain a little bit more about what you mean by that.
We reported some corruption at Department of Home Affairs. That was the day that my husband signed his death wish. But yeah, it's been heavy.
Well, congratulations and thank you for your incredible bravery. Let's turn now to Mathapelo. Internal auditors are supposed to flag suspicious dealings wherever they find them. That's what they're hired for. Mathapelo was employed by a large state-owned chicken producer called Daybreak Farms. She was brought in to help clean up governance lapses and alleged corruption that was bleeding the company dry. South Africa's public investment company, known as the PIC, had bought the giant poultry company for $100 million, using government pension and unemployment funds. When Mathapelo and her fellow managers reported suspicions of financial irregularities and government lapses by the board of Daybreak to the PIC in a confidential, protected disclosure, she was fired. The board has denied any wrongdoing. Since then, her life has been shattered. She was subjected to vicious retaliation in the form of a slew of civil and criminal court actions, including for fraud and money laundering, that were later withdrawn or went nowhere. The constant, costly legal harassment made her unemployable and financially reliant on donations from family and friends. She feels broken, abandoned and alone, and utterly disillusioned at how whistleblowers are treated in South Africa. Mathapelo, congratulations. Many thanks for speaking to us. Now, you reported wrongdoing in a confidential, protected disclosure and then found yourself thrown to the wolves. Can you tell us more about that?
So initially what happened was there was a company that was brought in to provide company secretarial duties. And when they came in at the time, they were charging us 30,000 rands, which we thought, oh, it was reasonable. But then within 3 months into their contract, they approached the board chair and they wanted their fee to be increased to 120,000, which results to about 400% increase. And it was going to pose a problem for us because if it was going to be like that, then we have to go back to the bidding process. But then they told the CEO that, no, but it's not your decision, it's the board's decision. There was an email that was sent to say, CEO, we agree with the proposal sent by the company secretariat in principle. Please, can you follow your processes and finalize this matter because we've got, the AGM was approaching. And that letter coming from the board chair was, the board chair, the board is the boss to the CEO. So it's, we decided we are not going to go through with that. We are going back to the bidding process. Subsequent to that, we got an invoice for an annual report. The annual report was just a mere PDF. They converted a Word document to a PDF, billed the company just over 400,000 rands. And when we questioned about that, they did not want to respond. They just said, we have to pay. Still, it didn't go through our normal procurement process. The one that made us to write the protected disclosure letter now was the
AGM report, which was similar to the annual report. They billed the company 200,000. Then we decided as the company to approach the shareholder. We had a discussion with the shareholder, and the shareholder said, write to us. You know, you can write a letter confidentially and we will deal with the letter. We wrote that 9-page letter. I drafted the letter with inputs from all my colleagues, and we sent the letter to the shareholder. Lo and behold, that letter went to the board. How, we don't know, because it was supposed to be a letter between the senior management of the shareholder and the management of Daybreak. But the letter went to the board. The CEO was called to account for the letter, and we refused to give them. They asked us to give them the letter, and we refused because that was a protected letter. It was supposed to be confidential. Subsequent to that, he was suspended, I was suspended, and the rest of the management team was suspended, and that's how I lost my job.
Mathapelo, they sued you for defamation. They tried to gag you, to stop you speaking to the press. Can you tell us more about the legal harassment that you suffered?
The sheriff of the court came to my house with a number of people. They raided my house, they searched, they seized laptops, my phone, my kids' phones and their laptops, my sister's laptop. They copied all the information in all those devices. And that is an Anton pillar. I was then sued for 136 million for a transport deal that I only participated in by just giving my ID number to be one of the directors. And there was a case, a criminal case that was opened against me for receiving an acting allowance. So I was in internal audit. I was asked to act as the technical executive. We then totally outsourced the internal audit function to deal with the independence issue. While I was acting as a technical executive, everybody who acted in any position at Daybreak, they received an acting allowance. I was the only one who was charged criminally because they looked at the acting allowance as theft, fraud, and money laundering. How they got to that, it's still a mystery. I appeared 4 times at the Specialized Crimes Court in Pretoria, and the state then dismissed, they withdrew all the charges against me.
What kind of impact has this had on you personally and on your family?
You know, as an internal audit, it's very difficult to go now and look for work. I consider myself unemployable. I've been to 3 interviews, and you know, the process is that they will do criminal checks. When criminal checks are done, then it comes that I've got pending fraud case against me.
You've said previously that blowing the whistle in South Africa is being hung out to dry. What do you mean by that?
You know, I have opened a criminal case against the people who looted, you know, funds from the company, and, you know, understanding where Daybreak was from and how it was turned around. Nothing is helping. You know, they sit with you and they promise and they say, no, before the end of the week, this matter will be resolved. It's almost 3 years now. By May 2024, it will be 3 years. And nothing is happening.
Thank you so much for standing up and trying to do what's right. In the Africa region, the 2023 winners are Mathapelo More, Mzukisi Makatse, Johannah Phenya, Dawood and Wardah Latief. In Asia and the South Pacific, Neville Devete is this year's winner. In Europe, the winner is Lukasz Krupski. In North America, our winner is Bawduniak. And in the UK, The 2023 winners are Dr. Ravi Jayaram, Dr. Steve Brearey, Dr. John Gibbs, and paediatric consultants at the Countess of Chester NHS Trust, UK. That brings us to the end of our blueprint for free speech whistleblowing prizes for 2023. Thank you for joining us, and of course, a very special thank you to all the prize winners themselves and those who support the prizes.